Well, hello everyone. We are live. Hopefully you can hear me. I certainly think you can see me. Everything looks like it's going through quite nicely. How are we all? That's the important question. How are we all? In a slightly more happier mood this weekend than I was last weekend. Thank you to everyone who emailed and shared some support. It's really grateful. So coming up today, as you can probably tell by the title, we're going to be discussing or getting everyone's thoughts on how long it takes a garden to be considered organic by gardening organically. This was a suggestion that came in from Muddy Boots last weekend. Great idea. Thought we'll go through it tonight. But before we start, what have you all been up to over this weekend or over this week on your own garden plots? I've been pretty busy, actually. I have sown some tea plants on the hope that we can then eventually get some really nice tea plants. Whether it works or not is another thing. I've moved my onions from in here out to the greenhouse to start hardening them off, and hopefully they're going to get a bit bigger, and then we can look at getting them outside. And more importantly, big job this weekend is I have taken down my old potting shed. It was corrugated iron and double wall perspex stuff. It's gone. It's gone, completely gone. And I'm feeling rather pleased about it. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel removing that shed because it's always difficult removing something, I find anyway. But as I took it down, it was quite apparent that all the wood, all the supports was rotting away. So if I didn't take it down now, it would have came down on its own. So really quite grateful for that. So I'm going to have a quick look at the comments and see what's going on in there. I can see there's lots of comments coming in already. Ballycillian came in right at the beginning saying, looking forward to this on a Sunday. Excuse me. I'm looking forward to this every Sunday as well. Now it's a great chance to chat to like-minded people. We've got Mike Stevens. Good evening to you. Anna Jones. Hello to you. Stuart Jackson. Good evening to you. Mike Stevens has said, oh, he's getting in a bit early. We'll come back to that comment a bit later. Well, we got a Turbo Stream. Good evening, veg growers. Good evening to you. Ed Loud, good noonie afters. Good evening to you. Ed, while I see you, did you get the seeds I sent to you? We got Dad, good evening to you. Saying I'm coming through loud and clear. I'm always worried about the sound these days, but you never know. Richard, hello mate, how are you doing? Listen to your latest podcast this morning. Was sorry to hear about. Oh, thank you, it's really kind of you. Yeah, it's been a bit tough, but we're moving on. All well here. Hope you feel better this week. Thank you, Stuart, and same to you. What else have we got? A lot of people saying hello. Ian Beddoes, evening Suggs. Hope you're okay. Not been in the garden since I carried Tina in the last time. I will have to do it soon. Yeah, that's quite upsetting about your poor little dog as well. And Mike Stevens has picked up on it. You have a shed light, which actually at the moment is being hidden by the signs. Yeah, I got a neon shed light just to add a bit of fun. Okay. Ed Loud. Now he's just saying no, I haven't got them, but maybe they'll turn up all these delays. I would have thought by now you would have had them. And Mike Stevens is saying, I didn't know you had a podcast. Yes, the podcast, I go out every Monday night. It is my main thing that I do, and I try and make sure I put a lot of effort into that and really enjoy my podcasts. So you can find me on iTunes, Amazon Music, pretty much every podcast station out there. Just search for the Veg Grower Podcast. Right. So, as I said at the beginning, we were going to ask, oh no, not that one, this one. How long do you consider it takes for your garden to be considered organic? Now, this came through as a question from Nigel Muddy Boots last weekend, and I thought that's quite a interesting question. Now, for me, I consider myself that I garden organic. I certainly try and garden organic, but do I consider my garden an organic garden? This to me comes down to when I've considered the price of what the crops I harvest and compare that to organic farmers. Do I consider it the same as them? No, I don't. And the reason for that is that I don't have any certification to say, yes, I am an organic gardener. But in a home plot, yes, I certainly think my garden would be considered organic. I reckon it takes about 3 years of completely gardening organically before you can consider it even to be an organics. But what do you think on that over there or out there? We've got a few comments coming in, but I wanted to show everybody I've actually managed, and I hit on this last week, I've set up the second camera so we can have 2 camera shots going on. And just to prove it, here's my cup that you just saw. There we go. Right. There was a few comments coming in. Let's go right back to where we started. So, Mike Stevens, who I know has been really into the garden organic side of things and gardening naturally. He considers his garden organic now. Since grass has been removed, there is just bare soil and fertilizer on it now. But is your fertilizer organic? That is always the question that I have to ask for it to even be considered organic. You have to factor in also, if you get horse manure, some people will say that horse manure is not considered organic unless the horses have been fed organically as well. I always find this is a bit of a long pipeline to go down when considering all these organic situations. What else? So, Turbo Stream, I consider my shared allotment to be organic as I didn't use any chemicals last year. So are you saying that because it was just 1 year of being organic, you consider it now an organic garden? I'm not saying anything against that. I'm just asking a question. Where else? Evening, Nicola in Brighton, just across the coast from me. What else? Right. Ian Beddoes watched Costa on YouTube yesterday about his life. It was amazing. Loved him in the park asking for kids their favourite veggies. One answered hot dogs. So this is a slightly different comment from something I've been on Skinny Jean Gardener's podcast. We've been watching Costa Gregoriadis, or however you pronounce his surname, who's like the Australian equivalent to Monty Don. But I think, in my opinion, quite a lot more throw yourself in, quite a bit more adventurous. Well worth checking him out. If you haven't seen him, I really do like this guy and one of my gardening heroes. Stuart Jackson, I have not used anything that's not organic for the past 15 years, but I can't control next year. Now, that is actually a very, very good point, which has got me wondering about being organic. I've often considered that, yes, I am organic in my own garden and my allotment, but next door could be spraying their weeds down, and that drift can, of course, come into my garden. Now, when this happens with organic farmers, I'm sure it does happen. It probably does cause problems as well. And does that affect what you would call an organic garden? This is where we want to ask out to everyone. By the way, if you want to call in, the number is on the screen. And I've just got to grab the link because I forgot to do that. If you want to call in, the number is on the screen. But if you want to zap yourself in, I'm adding the link right now. Right, what else have we got? So, right, Mike Stevens is saying, when I say fertilizer, I mean farm manure. But again, this goes on with what I was saying earlier, that is those farm animals being fed organically, and does that change what you call an organic farmer, organic manure? I'm only putting that out there for other people's opinions on that. Ed Loud has got a very good point. I imagine certifications is very expensive and wearisome. I don't know how much they are, in all honesty, but I do believe they are a lot of money. And just for that certification to say you are an organic, or you can sell your produce as an organic gardener, is where I think it's wrong personally. I think it should be the other way around. I think you should have to pay for a certification or to not garden organic. My opinion. Nui99, I hope I've pronounced that correctly. I don't think my growing would ever be able to be classed as organic certificated, as my new veg garden will be on top of high arsenic soil. On top of high arsenic in the soil, over 30%. This is Cornwall when I get there. Oh, yes. Now I remember who you are now. 30%. I mean, arsenic is naturally found in the soil. You would have heard this on the podcast on Monday. But high, I mean, 30%, that is pretty damn high, to say the least. But of being Cornwall, I'm not surprised actually, because there'll be a lot of copper mines around there, and it's probably where it's came into the soil. However, when you say certificated as organic, because arsenic is naturally found in the soil, does that fall into the ground of being organic? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Allotmentals just offer his roast chicken. How lovely. Toby Stream, my allotment buddy doesn't use chemicals. He has worked that plot for 20 years. That's a lot of time on one plot. And I certainly think if you're gardening for over 20 years, you can consider that to be organic. Adrian Cable, I thought you need to be 2 years free of chemicals. I believe that's for the certification, to say you are, if you're a farmer, to say you are an organic farmer, you've got to have 2 years of not using chemicals. I could be wrong on that, but I certainly know it's something along 2-3 years to get that certification. And Richard Lewis, I feel that if I grew organic the previous year, then the following year would be organic. Government guidelines is about 2 years, isn't it? Which is adding to what Adrian Cable says. And I do agree. But unless you do soil testing, how do you know what's in that soil? As Nui99 has mentioned with arsenic. Ballycillion, although I don't use chemicals, I can't stop plots around mine using what they like. So don't really know the chemicals come onto mine after the heavy rain. Again, these are all points that all the chemicals washing into your soil from where you cannot get hold of it. Turbo Stream actually come up with a very good question of what is your interpretation of organic. His interpretation is just to not use weed killers or pesticides, which I personally think that's just part of it. I personally feel it's the not using of any chemicals whatsoever. Now, that's not to say there are organic weed killers out there. There are organic pesticides out there. There are organic fertilizers. So to me, in my opinion, you can still use, although I don't use it, organic weed killers, organic pesticides, and be considered organic. Oh, sorry, I didn't see. We've got Stuart Jackson just waiting there. Hello, mate. Sorry, I didn't see you there. You weren't waiting for long, were you?
It's all right, mate. It's not a problem. No, I wouldn't wait long at all. This is an interesting conversation.
It is. It's opened up quite a wormhole, I think.
as you know, my veg patch brand new, or this year, last year. But on top of that patch that I'm using was chickens for 5 years, if not 6. So, right, they were fed grain or they were fed layers pellets. Now, technically, I'm not organic because I give them layers pellets. But there's no other chemicals have gone into that grain.
Yeah.
So if you fertilize your grain with cows, horses, chickens, feces, whatever, how can you be organic? Because you don't know where that food's come from or what they've been fed.
Unless it's an organic feed.
Yeah. And there won't be many farmers that use organic feed on a bigger scale. So if you're a little farmer selling to the farmers markets, you probably will. But if you're a big producer, or you're somebody down the road that's got 3 or 4 horses that you get your horse milk from, I'm just being devil's advocate, Rich, really.
No, because that's actually what I was saying earlier on, is that the use of farm manures or cattle manures or animal manures is great, but some people will say unless they've been fed organically, there could still be stuff in that manure.
The only thing I bought, well, I didn't buy it, it was in my dad's shed, was is it 6X, the chicken? Not 6X, is it? The chicken pellets. Now, I don't know if they're organic or not.
No. Unless they're labelled as organic, they're probably not.
Oh, well, you've opened the can of worms.
Saying that, I believe there's some people out there that do create stuff organically, but they can't afford to pay for the certification. So it could be organic. They just can't say it's organic. It's a bit like when you make sparkling wine, you can't call it champagne, can you? You know. No.
My garden, then I've got a garden either side. Now I know the left-hand side is fine. They got young kids. They wouldn't use anything nasty. I'm convinced. The other side has got beautiful flower gardens and very few insects. You know, where the flowers get eaten. You know, a lot of my flowers got natural holes in them from insects.
Yeah.
So I still can't guarantee that mine is organic. You know, even though I know deep down I put nothing on it. And I think that's the problem. Even with allotments, you know, you've got your allotment in the middle of an allotment plot with, I don't know, 20, 30 other allotments. If you're the only one that's trying to be organic, it's really hard, isn't it?
Yeah, because you can only take a priority of what you pot into that area of land, but what your neighbours are doing, and some of that will come into your own land. You can't control that. But does that mean you're not an organic gardener? Does that make your garden not organic?
Well, I live very close to the future king, and all his land is organic, as you probably know. Yeah. But his fields go on to other farmers' fields that I know are not organic. So how does that? I don't understand how that can work, because if you spray a crop with a tractor and a sprayer, and it's a bit windy, you're going to get that insecticide or whatever on to somebody else's fields. I don't know, if you've been outside in the country, you can smell it when they're spraying it.
Oh, yeah. I believe when it comes to farmers, there has to be a certain amount of space between the crops. But we can't do that in the home garden.
No.
Every space counts in our garden.
So, do you know how many years it is? Is it 2 or 3 that we've got to be clean?
I thought it was 3 years, but it might be over 2 years, which would be the 3 years, according to government guidelines. But I'm not certain on that, but I should have looked into that beforehand thinking about it.
No, somebody out there might know the answer. But I'm like you. I think if you're not organic, that's when you should pay for it. So why should organic fertilizer, organic compost, organic whatever be dearer than anything else?
Well, I've got no problem with it being dearer if it costs more to produce. What
Now,
I
if
actually
we
take offence, what I actually take offence to is that people who are organic have to pay for that certification to sell their crops as organic. They could be gardening organically, but not be able to sell it as organic.
Now, this is going a bit off on a tangent, but if we want to help the planet, and I, as an educator, educate children about peat-free compost, not using slug pellets, not and so on. We've got to make that accessible for everybody.
Yeah.
And as we all know, if you buy a bottle of tomato feed that's organic, it's going to be at least 50p dearer than the one that isn't. It should be the other way round.
Yeah.
The stuff that's not so good should be more expensive to put you off.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. I've found peat-free compost the same price as normal compost. So
I found that.
I've been very lucky, and I've had a very nice supply come from core compost people. The magic compost. Core, that's it.
Yeah.
So I'm all right for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I've found suppliers of peat-free, because that's something else I'm doing is going peat-free. Peat-free compost is now the same price as normal or peat-based compost, so I'm just buying it the same.
Well, I think they got to make it so we can all afford to go organic. I think we as gardeners or horticulturalists or farmers, we've got to petition people to say, look, if you want us to help the planet, then you've got to help us. Yeah. But that's above our head, isn't
it? Yeah. We get into political grounds here. Yeah.
Well, we shouldn't talk politics on a Sunday.
Yeah, well, yeah. But that's really interesting that you've came up with the same problems that I found when trying to think about this question, that you can't control your neighbours. Not that they're doing anything wrong.
No, they're doing what they want to do. It's their garden. They can do whatever. And like I've really gone over to the peat-free, no slug pellets. This week the email will go around. I want them to save their eggshells to use as slug pellets, or any other idea they come up with that's natural. So I'm trying to make them think that if they go gardening and take gardening at home, they're doing it right from the beginning. Or not right. Right's the wrong word. Sustainable from the word go.
Yes.
So
getting them educated.
I think I might have to show them a clip of this show on Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever I do the thing, just to get the argument going.
So no swearing anyone.
No, please no swearing. I will edit it first, or try. Anyway, excellent. I will go. Let somebody else might have some better ideas or other ideas. And it's good.
Great.
It's good to see you smile back on your face. Stay positive. Stay safe.
Cheers, Stuart. Take care. Bye.
Take care.
There we go. That was Stuart Jackson, everybody, who has added quite a bit to the conversation. Quick go back into the comments. Have I read this one? Ballycillian, although I don't use chemicals, I can't stop plots around mine, which is what we were just saying just now. Oh, we have a caller. Where's the headphones? Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
It's Sean here from London.
Hello, Sean. How are you today?
Fine. Good day on the plot. We don't sell any chemicals in our allotment shop, and there's an unofficial rule that you aren't allowed to use them on the entire site. Now, whether people do or don't, they would have to do it under the cover of darkness. But that's what we're doing on our site.
So you're forcing everyone to go into organically, and I mean that with greatest respect. I don't mean that in a nasty way.
Yes, well, organic as in not using any chemicals.
Not using any chemicals. But what about, and although I don't like this stuff, organic weed killers and organic pesticides, are they banned as well?
I don't think we've got any of them in the shop, to be honest.
Right.
I will have a look. The only thing that you do see people bring on site is slug pellets.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens when the law does. Well, if the law finally changes, because it did change, then it got changed it back.
Yeah.
And now I think we're in a point where you can use them, and now it's going through Parliament again.
I think, if I remember right, there was a certain chemical within slug pellets that some slug pellets used, and they were the ones that were banned, and they were generally the blue ones. Now, I think it may have, that law got repealed, but I could be wrong on that. But I think it got repealed because
it did. Yeah,
there was no other alternative.
I know that we had to on another allotment site that I go to, we had to get rid of them, and just as we were about to get rid of them off the shelf and like sell them off at like 10p each, or the law changed.
Yeah.
So we did sell them, and we said that we weren't going to buy any more in.
Yeah, yeah.
But I find that if you keep your plot clean and keep the grass, just take the grass out. Don't have any grass at all. And when your leaves at the bottom of your cabbage start to turn colour, get them off and in the compost.
Yeah.
Then you haven't really got an issue with slugs and snails.
I agree, but I don't use any slugs or snail pellets, and I haven't done for about 5 years I've lived here. But what I've done instead is encourage birds to come into my garden.
I was just about to say exactly the same thing. I've got a bird table, but it's got a roof on top, so it's very good for robins and the sparrows to come in.
Yeah.
And the blackbirds have a bit of an issue, and the crows. The only problem that then creates is I discovered sparrows love a row of beetroot leaves.
Yeah.
They'll completely destroy them within a day.
Yes. Yeah. Well, there are birds that will eat cabbages and stuff as well, of course, and they can destroy those. So
But then as long as we put the nets on top, in fact, if you put the nets on top and stop the birds get into your food, then they haven't got any alternative other than to find the slugs and snails.
Yes, but then it also gives the slugs and snails a safe haven.
Yes, like when the rain comes, I do head down there and sort of absolutely look at every single patch, and I was planting some things up today, and I think this is what people forget sometimes. When you get these seed trays, turn the seed tray upside down and look down every single crack. Yeah, because you'll find there'll be 2 or 3 snails hiding in there.
Yeah. So I think that's actually really good advice. But on the main question of how long do you consider it takes for your garden to be organic, I think I've seen your comment in the group, but for everyone listening, what's your answer?
3 years.
3 years. I would say I think that sounds about right. I was going to say, or in when it comes to gardening, certainly not so much farmers, but gardens. What about the neighbours when that affects your plots?
Well, like I said, I've got a doctor on one side of me, so she's very health conscious, and the guy on the other side of me is 98.
Right.
So he's obviously doing something correct. Yeah,
definitely.
I'm just trying to have a quick look on Google to see what the situation is with the slug pellets.
I think I did see a comment come in from someone.
Well, according to Farmers Weekly, a ban on the outdoor use of slug pellets is to be introduced across the UK from spring 2022.
Right. So next
So
year.
you've got another 12 months left.
Yeah. Hmm.
But they have to stop manufacturing them.
Yeah.
In March of this year. So they're giving shops a year then to sort of sell the last. But what will happen is people will just buy. It's a bit like when DDT got taken off the shelf. The old boys just went and bought £50 worth and kept it in their shed.
Yeah, definitely. I saw that a lot happen. In fact, I still find it in some sheds which are very, very old.
Yes, there was a guy who. There was a guy, in fact, this is an interesting story, who was absolutely adamant Bordeaux mixture had to be sprayed on his potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he's down here every 6 o'clock in the morning, and that's when he does it. So I didn't believe this. So I went down about 10 to 6 one morning, and I saw a cloud of blue smoke.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in the middle of it, throwing this Bordeaux mixture all over the place.
Yeah.
He was in his 80s. When he died, about 2 years before, he lost his the vocal box, so he couldn't talk. He had to have one of these computers put into his throat. What was very interesting is the plots surrounding him. People either ended up with the same condition or they've ended up with the start of cancer.
Wow.
And it's just fascinating how literally everybody around his plot, they've all succumbed to the same issue. And when we cleaned out his shed, well, it was like a nuclear bunker in there. There were chemicals going back to the 20s.
Wow. Yeah, that's slightly worrying, though, isn't it? I mean, this is a thing I don't think people have thought about in the past with using all these chemicals, is the long-time effects, not just on the people using it, but the people around.
Yes, because when I first started in gardening back in the 80s, my neighbour was a world chrysanthemum grower. He had awards. He was in the Guinness World Book of Records. I started doing the gardening when I was 13, and that year he didn't win a prize. All his flowers were a disaster. He still doesn't know to this day. That was when I started spraying my apple tree.
Right.
So it obviously had an effect. And that's when I started to realize maybe we shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. I certainly agree, and I'd like everyone to be organic, but I wouldn't force it on anyone. But
well, this year I plan to save all my own seed.
Oh, good idea. That's convenient you say that, actually, because next Sunday I'm going to be doing a seed swap on this live show.
Oh, right.
I don't know how it's going to work yet, but we'll figure something out.
Well, I'll tune in because I need to get some flower seeds.
There we go. So we got some seed swaps already in motion.
So I will be back next week.
Lovely. We'll look forward to seeing you then.
Speak to you then.
Take care. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. There we go. That was Sean James Cameron from London. Just going to put the link if anybody wants to zap themselves in like Stuart did earlier to carry on this conversation, or if you want to call in on 07307 135 174, then please do. I'm missing out on lots of comments at the moment, so I apologise for that. Let's have a quick look at what people are saying now. Digwell Green Fingers, organic has to have half-life equivalent. How far down the line do you stop? And I think what Digwell is saying is that the chemicals within organic fertilizers and stuff don't last as long, whereas the other stuff, the older chemicals, last a lot longer. How far back do you have to go? I.e., like I was saying earlier, farm manures where they haven't been fed on organic materials. What did Ian Beddoes, didn't they have this argument in the States with Monsanto in the States that if they spray, does it contaminate others? And Monsanto is actually a really, really nasty company, owner of Roundup. And yeah, it's a lot of legal issues that have been going on. I believe they're still arguing with this in the courts about how far it goes. Ed Loud, frankly, though, I doubt we can avoid chemicals fully. There's so many in the environment and the air already in this country. Good point, actually. Especially if your allotment is near a busy road, all those exhaust fumes are probably going to end up in your plants as well. And is that the right thing to do? Digwell is coming up with a good point. Too much guessing. Get some professional advice, guys. Yeah, I mean, this is why the main question is, as I've said, how long do you consider it takes for your garden to be organic? But he has also said peat is organic, which very, very true, but not all peat-free is organic, and also very, very true. I mean, the main trouble with peat-based compost is the fact it just destroys the ecosystems and it doesn't quite get a chance to recover. We can recover, but it takes such a long time that it's barely noticeable. Richard Lewis is saying that us veg growers should adopt our own terms like natural, ecological, or chemical-free. That's actually not a bad idea, actually. Just sort of try and change our frame of mind on our own home gardens or allotments. What else have we got? Ballycillian, a buffer zone probably works in the countryside, but if your allotment is in an industrial city, goodness knows only what is in the air, so what you can be sure is landing on your plot, which is what I was saying about the if you're next to a road. Lee Connolly is joined. Hello, mate. Hope you're well. Never used chemicals on the garden before. Just was never something I ever thought about spending money on when I started. But did you use fertilizers? And were those fertilizers organic? Or what about your compost? Was that organic? What about your manure? Was that organic? This is where it gets very, very cloudy and ambiguous. The Dippy Plotter, the ruling to ban I can't pronounce it tonight, was declared unlawful and the ruling was overturned. A new ban will be in place in 2020, which is what Sean was saying. So that proves that. Hello, hope you're well. They proved the accumulative effect of poisoning predators from slug pellets. There is no proof for the organic slug pellets whether this happens. I totally agree about keeping the plot clean and encouraging birds and slow worms. Now, I actually remember this research and seeing owls actually suffering really, really badly for being poisoned by eating so many slugs that have been affected by slug poison. It was actually heartbreaking because you could literally see this owl on the floor in pain. It was horrible, and it kind of reinforced to me why I don't use slug pellets anymore. She is saying seed swap. Yes, I've been hoarding seeds. Wish I had hoarded more. We're going to do that next week. The seed swap. So it's get together any seeds that you want to swap, and we'll try and you may have to send them to others and they send you, is how we are going to try and do it. Hopefully it's a lot of logistics to try and work out. Amanda Joy, hello, hope you're well. I've got lots of flower seeds. Happy to get involved with a seed swap next week. So it looks like this seed swap is going to happen next Sunday at 6 right here. How can we be sure when buying a plant from a garden centre or online it hasn't had chemicals put on it? And well, Mike, the answer to that is if they are selling it as an organic product, then it has to be stuck to by law. Now, of course, there is what they do in reality. You can never be sure. But by rights, and generally speaking, if people are organic gardening, they are pretty strict on it, especially when their business relies on it. What else? What else? What else? Are tomato feeds organic? Ever read Beyond How Much to Use? From Ian Beddoes. Well, the answer to that is you can get organic tomato feeds. They are quite expensive. Just had a thought. I think, have I got some here? Here we go. Bit dusty. Organic. Can you see that? About the light getting into it. Organic tomato feed. It says right there it's organic. So that's how you can tell. And to answer your question, yeah, that proves that yes, you can get organic tomato feeds. Generally speaking, this goes out to those who, like Ian, haven't done much into this particular field. Generally speaking, if they are organic, they will be labelled quite clearly as being organic. Tomo Stream, I use chicken manure pellets, but there is no way of knowing if they are organic unless it says so. And that is it. It has got to say so for us to know. Nui99, my muck will be from my animals on my farm, chickens, ducks and 2 shire horses, and later in the year will be pigs and alpacas. So if you're feeding your animals organically, there's a good chance that your manure is going to be organic. This is how complicated it can sometimes get. As Digwell said earlier, it's very ambiguous or very complicated to get into the real answers. And even then, the experts will argue as to what is considered organic and what isn't. What else have we got? If you use slug pellets, you could use in a pipe or similar. This is from Adrian, which is, I've known people to actually do that. In fact, I saw a product at a event once, which was like a organic, a slug pellet house. So the slugs and snails could get in to get those slug pellets, but nothing else could. The only trouble is that poison is then in the slugs and the snails, and the birds come along and eat it. And it, like I said, with that owl, it then has a knock-on effect further down the down the road. But there are other people out there who will say that actually, no, it's not quite so, or some poisons don't transfer down the road. It's even scientists can argue about this. So what hope have we got? But I've never seen a plant labelled as organic though. Generally speaking, it will be the garden centre be selling it as an organic plant. I've never actually, you're right, I've never seen them as labelled as organic, but I know there are nurseries out there that will treat their plants organically. They use organic compost, organic fertilizers and feeds. It's basically have a chat with your local garden centre, your nurseries, and just find out what they say. What else? What have we got? We need to source some organic compost. We plan to make a no-dig veg patch, but have not made any of our own compost yet. Does anyone know where we should look? Yes. Oh, I'll come back to that in just a second. We've got a caller. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, Richard. It's the Oracle again.
Hello. How are you?
Oh, dead on. Just while you're talking about the organic stuff there, just a wee question about comfrey.
Yep.
I have 5 comfrey pipes.
Yeah.
And it's all from the same plant that I would put into the comfrey pipe.
Right.
Right? So my first pipe, it's starting to rot down well. It's actually coming to the end now because it has rotted down that much.
Yeah.
Do you see what we've got at the bottom? It's like black tea.
Excellent. Yep.
Right? The next one to that, exact same again.
Sorry, could you say that again?
It's black tea again, right? Next one to that, yes, brilliant. Black tea. Do you see my fourth one?
Yeah.
It's like white tea.
Have they been in for the same amount of time?
Yes, all from the same plant.
All at the same time. That's weird. It may be that there was just less nutrients in the soil when that plant was digging it up. Comfrey is, there's a name for it, but it's like a dynamic accumulator, I think it's called, where its roots go down to find all the nutrients to pull up into the leaves to make that rich black liquid feed. And it may be that particular area from those comfrey leaves didn't have quite as much as the rest.
No, it's all came from the same plant.
Oh, okay.
That's what I can't get my head around. You see the weight's on top of it. The weight's compressing down on top. It's coming into the sieve, into the funnel, into the bottle. I just can't work out why I'm getting 4 black and 1 light brown.
It's not getting rainwater come in.
No, I've built into a shelter.
I have no idea, in all honesty. That is very, very weird. If it all comes from the same plant, it should all be the same.
I just can't get my head around it either.
No. I mean, give it time. Perhaps it might thicken up, but you would have thought it'll be the same. Was the same quantity of leaves went in, I take it, as well?
Well, you would say it roughly would be the same quantity. I never, yourself. I have the 5 pipes set up with the weights, and I have them running down. So you just push them in, and then bait down, push in, bait down. You let it go for a week or two, and then you gradually see it starting to rot, and it fills the bottles up.
Yeah.
And I think that there's great for the. But again, if you're going to talk about the organic, if the guy beside me is spraying chemicals, it goes into the comfrey. Then does it become organic?
Sorry, say that again. This line's a bit bad.
Sorry, I said if the guy beside me or the other side's using chemicals, with the comfrey going so far down, it could be taking their chemicals, and then again, you think you're organic and you're not. Yes,
well, comfrey, or when it comes to going down in the soil, generally chemicals are in the top few inches. So when you go further down, generally speaking, and again, this is a bit ambiguous, but generally speaking, further down, there's less of these man-made chemicals within the soil. It's all in that top 3 inches. So there's a good chance as how low your comfrey leaves go or your comfrey roots go down, it's probably okay. But at the same time, there's a chance it could be washing down into there for all you know. So it's a difficult one.
It just puts more fuel to the fire. I see your Sean James Cameron there had one on, and I'd be just interested if you come back just for a wee answer. He said the best organic tomato feed is your own urine watered down.
Yes, I saw that, and I was going to mention that in case Stuart uses this on the for the kids on this week. But yeah, I mean, urine is full of potassium, so that would be a very good source, or that's what tomato plants need, and that's often found in tomato feeds.
What would you say the mix is, Ian?
I would say you put about a litre of urine to 10 litres of water, so 10%.
Yeah, I wonder is that Sean's idea, because I would watch a lot of Sean's videos, and I remember Sean saying that he was going to put a toilet, composting toilet, on the side of his shed, which is a brilliant idea,
Yeah.
I wonder would that be his idea? He's going to get stuff, and use his chemicals on the allotment then, is it, or for the...
Yeah, I mean, Bob Flowerdew does it, or uses urine everywhere, so if it's good enough for him, and I mean, he's the, or what was known as one of the first celebrity organic gardeners, so yeah, definitely some logic to it.
It's not that, it's just, I would actually set a tomato plant up this year and run Sean's test on it, just for curiosity.
Yeah.
But it'd be the fact that eating the tomato plant, knowing that your urine has fed this.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the results on that, to see how it goes. Perhaps 2 tomato plants in the same pot, or in different pots, but the same compost. One with urine, one with tomato feed.
I'd be curious just to run. Now, it must have been about 3 years ago, Richard. We run a test with, I don't know if you use fast growth fertilizer.
I've heard of it, yes.
Yes. Yeah. We had one with fast growth fertilizer, one with tomato feed, and one with liquid fertilizer.
Yeah.
You know, the seaweed.
Yeah.
And personally, yes, the fast growth fertilizer, the tomato grew well to start, but through time, I thought the three of them just caught up with each other.
Oh, right. Interesting.
You know, unless anyone else has any other things or what way they would do their tomatoes or what way they would, if they've run any more tests, you know.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the trouble when you're trying to test things out. You've got to keep everything to be identical or try and keep everything the same.
But as I say, you wouldn't know what's happening or people's tests they've run. But really, it's just for a wee bit of feedback on your show. If anyone else has run tests, doing what Sean said, or would they suggest something else, you know?
Oh, yeah. We're going to put that out there and see if anybody else has done tests like that and if anybody would do a test this year to test it out.
That'd be brilliant, Richard.
Yeah.
It's nice to get the feedback, you know, and you know, stuff like that, you know. Because, as I say, where I am in Newton's allotment, sir, it's right down beside Stratford Lock. So I might get a different thing than Sean that's in London, you know. Yeah. We understand that, like, but it was just nice to see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I think I might...
Especially again, with me watching Sean's videos, you understand?
Yeah.
Sean's in London there, and I believe he has no polytunnel.
I don't think he does, no. I think he's...
Now, I know yourself, you're set up.
Yeah.
But would Sean do grow tomatoes in? You doing that without the polytunnel?
Oh, yeah. I mean, everyone grows tomatoes outside. Blight is a bit of a problem from time to time. But, yeah.
You see, that's a problem here down Newton Arch. You can't do that. The tomato don't even get a chance to grow. If you don't have a polytunnel or greenhouse, you're snookered.
Yeah, I mean, I grow blight-resistant tomatoes now for that very reason, which are the only ones I use outside. But some years you get it bad, some years you don't. Here.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much for your time there.
No worries. Lovely to hear from
Richard.
You again.
Yes, I'll give you another ring next week.
Lovely. We'll look forward to that.
Overnight from the Oracle.
No worries. Thank you.
All right, Richard. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye. There we go. So that was Ballycillian. That's an interesting idea, testing an experiment with tomatoes and seeing what happens with using, as Sean said, urine on one and tomato feed on the other and compare the difference. As Sean says, we can grow tomatoes outside in London, but he doesn't like them. We can grow tomatoes outside here. We often get blight, which is why I just tend to use blight resistance. I'm just a little bit further south of London, so slightly different. What have we got here? Some people pot down something full of slugs to hide under and check regularly, then dispose of. That's an organic way to get rid of them. Stinging nettles makes a great feed. That takes me back to something I did when I was at school. I think I was about 13 at the time. And I mean, I had heard this in a lesson that stinging nettles make a great plant feed. So I filled this little Panda Pop bottle, it was, if anybody remembers what Panda Pops was. Filled that up with stinging nettles, pot water, and I left it on my windowsill for about 6 months until everything had rotted into this bright green plant feed. And then I used up my cactuses. And I'll tell you what, it was a really, really good plant feed. I really should make that again and keep trying it. What else have we got? I was answering a question, wasn't I? Where was it? Was it this one? Oh, yes, where we can get organic compost from. That's a very good question. Most garden centres will actually sell organic compost, but it's you have to read the packaging to see if it's organic or not. In most cases, compost is technically organic if it's came from organic matter such as your council compost, but you don't know what's been sprayed on that organic matter to make it non-organic, which is where you get certain problems come in. Dalefoot, I believe, is one company. I know they are completely peat-free, and their compost is made from sheep's wool. I believe that's an organic, but I could be wrong on that. Yeah, so that's an idea. I think ironic is in a non-organic container. I can't remember what that's about. And as Turbo Stream, it is a right deep rabbit hole, this organic subject. There's a lot going on, certainly. And Helen knows a bit more about the organic side of things in the farming. If you're on any meds or consuming any processed feed, then your pea probably isn't organic. So it comes back to what I was saying about the manures as well. What else have we got? Lots and lots of comments coming in. We've got about 3 minutes to go, everyone. So if you want to call in quickly, it's 07307135174. Or if you want to zap yourself in, I've just put the link in just to finish the show off quite nicely. Durka is asking if boy urine or girl urine makes any difference. I believe boy urine actually contains more potassium, if I remember correctly. No, phosphorus, sorry. So there is a difference, but I don't think it would make a huge amount of difference for this subject. Kevin's Rambles, hello mate, hope you're well. Richard, if I collected all the slugs from my allotment and dropped them at yours, is that being organic? Technically, yes, that is being organic. What other people do is drop those slugs into a bucket of salt water. I can't stand doing that myself. I'd sooner just leave them for the birds. Not that makes a huge amount of difference. They both end up the same way, but just using that. Stuart, edit this bit out if you use it, because Sean is also using his own poo in the garden. There's always one, isn't there? Turbo Stream. There was a lot of contaminated compost last year that had herbicide residue in it. I did hear that, actually. It contained, a lot of people were finding that they would sow in seeds that started to grow and then died back pretty soon because of this herbicide residue left in it. What would they call it? Antimorphiline or something. So I probably pronounced that wrong, but I do remember reading that. Added to that, Sean, no, the phone is still on. It's still on if you do want to call in again. I feed the slugs to the birds by placing them on the bird table. Somebody's left me a voicemail, so I assume that was Sean. The phone is on and plenty of signal. What else? Leave a sip of beer in the can and pop. Here we go. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
It's Sean again. Just a quick update. Yes, 1 to 10, I use the P.
Yeah.
You do have to get over that psychological element of you eating the cabbage and you know what's put on it. and it's quite interesting to tell people when they're halfway through a meal and to see the reaction. But you can also use your poo. So you poo into your box and you put wood shavings in and untreated wood shavings, and then when it's full you put the lid on and you seal it and you put it in full sunshine for a year and you just leave it there, and then after a year you open it and it's beautiful compost. And when we did it on our allotment site, we had it tested by the university who was doing a study, and they found out our allotment site had the cleanest poo and pee in the whole of the London district. And when we got the wheelie bin full of poo, everybody was like, I don't want it. I don't want it. The person that had it had the biggest pumpkins you've ever seen in your entire life. And the next year we had to have a raffle because so many people wanted it. So I think people need to set up their own compost toilets on their plot and use what you put in your mouth.
Oh, that's actually interesting, because I know down in Brighton they've just, well, a couple of years back, they've done some work to the sewage system, and they said then the idea is to take all that human excrement, I'm trying to be polite here, and use that in farmers' fields, because they reckon it's so good these days for that sort of thing.
Well, I'll send you the official paper that came out, but it was a study that went on for about 18 months with the university in London, and their thinking behind it was they were doing a study on how houses in the future will change, and one of their proposals was to find some evidence about should people start using their own pee and poo in their gardens, and will toilets in the future just be sort of connected to your own house.
Interesting. I've got to admit, it doesn't sit comfortably with me, but it's certainly.
But then you're quite happy to put chicken poo on.
Yes. Yeah, I know, and it's psychologically.
And in fact, you've got more control over your own pee and poo because it's up to you what you put in your mouth.
Yeah, and you're completely right. It's a psychological thing to get your head over, I guess.
It's strange though. I have no problem using my own pee and poo,
right.
But I've got an issue where some people in the world, they wipe their bottoms with their hands.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
A great Sunday night chat as people are sitting down to their evening meals.
Yes. It's certainly something to consider.
Maybe I'll send you the report, and then maybe in a few weeks, just do a show on would you eat. In fact, that would be the title. Would you eat and drink your own pee and poo? That'll get people tuning in.
It certainly would. That's certainly something to think about.
All the best.
All right, take care. Cheers, Sean. Bye. There we go. So we will close up in just a second. I put a link in for anybody to zap in. I think it was Cara's Titbits who was asking for it. So if you see it in the comments from the Veg Grower podcast, that's the link to zap yourself in. What else have we got? I'm eating my dinner. At least I have a strong stomach. Sorry, is Sean James Cameron now selling his own poo? Who knows? Cara's Titbits, absolutely brilliant conversation. It's suddenly taken an interesting direction. And for Sean, there's a book recommendation, The Human Manure Handbook. I've heard of this book. I haven't quite read it yet, but I have heard of it. And Sean's came back to Lee with he'll send him some. Yeah, living the dream. Absolutely living the dream. I'll just put that link in once more quickly if anybody does want to. We're running into overtime now, but I don't mind. This conversation has sort of really got everyone talking. It's quite interesting. I got to thank Money Boots. I don't think he's watching tonight. I haven't seen him anyway. Thank him for suggesting this conversation. It's got a lot of conversation going on. Right, what have we got coming up this week? Actually, no, next week, as I said, on next week's podcast or next week's live show, we're going to try and do a seed swap. Usually next Sunday, the 1st February of the year, first Sunday in February, I would be at CD Sunday, which is an annual seed swapping event that goes on in Brighton. Unfortunately, this year it's been cancelled. So I had a bit of an idea. I do a live show on a Sunday. Let's try and swap some seeds and see what we can do. So what I'll do, I'll bring along some seeds of mine that I basically don't need anymore. And you will bring yours along. I will get a blackboard or something, write what seeds we've got and who has them, and see who can take them. It will mean people obviously posting them to the other people and people contacting each other to get addresses shared and everything. So it's a bit of a logistical nightmare, but I think we're going to come up with I think it's the best we can do at the moment with all these lockdowns and what have you. Let's have a quick look at the comments. So Idaho Garden Girl, I'm late but enjoying the live broadcast. Thank you very much. I didn't even really. I was going to bring up the second camera because let's move the cabinet away. I actually was going to sow some seeds today. I set myself up for that with this second camera, but this conversation has gone on. I'm not going to do that. We'll save that for another time. What else? May all gardens be flushed with success this year. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Philly SPB. Whoever swaps with Sean might swap poo too. He's not got it up and running yet, so I think we're going to be okay. Ed Loud, for the first time ever watching this show, I'm almost glad I live in a flat. Oh, that's apologies, everyone. I do talk some. All the jokes are coming in thick and fast now, aren't they? And Mudcam. There we go. Right. 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes to go. We'll go till 1:15. I'll just add the link if anybody wants it. That's up in the comments, or call in on 07307 135 174. Now, on the podcast coming out Monday night, I'm talking about the tasks that we can do throughout February and seeds that we can sow throughout February. It's coming up this week. What else have we got in the pipeline? Seeds for supporters club members has gone out. I think Stephen, who I saw earlier, received his already, and we've made a few changes to that, which I'm quite happy with the newsletter. But yeah, lots going on at the moment. Let's have a quick look. Urine is okay as long as you're not taking any meds, as this can end up in your urine. This has really gone quite bizarre. What have you done? Is Sean swapping ones or twos? Well, surely that would come under the Human Waste Act, therefore cannot be transported. I don't know. It's just not the conversation I thought we were going to go. But we'll start summarising. By the way, the study said the male and female pee had the same results, and it's a myth that male is better. There you go. Learn something new every year. Enjoyed the show, but a bit of seed sowing next week would be great as well. We will do that next week as well. It's just this conversation is, I've been on it all the time. Hello, I haven't seen you for a long time, Jen's Allotment Adventures. Long time no speak. Hope you're well, Jen. I'm very well, thank you. Hope you are well too. Been meaning to email you and just see how you are, actually, in all honesty. Cara Tippets, yes, that is my concern with body waste, really. But it's a thing with farm animals too, I guess. Oh, and that was aimed at Nui. So, yeah. I can't get to my garden now. It's under a foot plus of snow. And that's Croatia. I'm completely flummoxed. We never get snow here. Never get snow here. So it's I'm always jealous when everybody says they get snow. Oh, my coffee's gone cold. Nothing worse than cold coffee. Right, let's summarise. So what I'm taking away from this conversation tonight is that, going back to the original question, which was, how long do you consider it takes for your garden to be organic? I think the summarising that I've had from everyone out there is that gardening organic isn't as cut blank as what we think. Now, And for the farmer, it's a bit easier because they have boundaries. They have the certification. They have targets that they have to achieve. So 2 years of gardening organically before they can get certified, boundaries, etc., etc. To the home gardener, there's nothing like that. It's all very much you garden organically, but you cannot be considered organic, I think is the way to do it. 2 to 3 years seems to be the thing that we're all saying, which I also agree with. And yeah, I think it's something that we certainly should all be doing, trying to garden as organically as possible, which isn't as carte blanche as what we think. So for the home gardener, for me, I think how we should determine organic gardening is that we either have people, or the home organic gardener doesn't use man-made chemicals in their fertilizers, pesticides, or weed killer. It's all organic. And we have no control over our neighbours, so we won't worry about that either. Let's have a quick look at the comments before we close up for tonight. So Andrew is saying that the snow arrived today, so lucky you is all I have to say. I've been missing snow. Yes, all work and no play for Jen, who I haven't seen for a while. Having a chilled out Sunday for once. Very lucky you. Brilliant show tonight, Richard from TurboStream. Thank you very much. Jen has also said been snowing most of the day today, not sticking low. We've just had rain here all day. We've had plenty of snow last week, and if I remember right, TurboStream, you're in Birmingham area. Cara's tidbits. I've been thinking the rest of the UK has snow, but me. Exactly how I feel. We never get snow here. Although in Brighton from New E99, no snow there either. So something we seem to miss in. A lot of farm uses a lot of antibiotics, etc., to keep their animals healthy. I use pure therapeutic essential oils and natural products to support my animals. Going back to that manure thing. Barry Cillian, organic or not, be thankful we are healthy and enjoying our allotments and gardens. And that, my friends, is actually what I think I'm going to end the note on. We are very, very lucky. We are very thankful to have our allotments and gardens. There's many people out there who are not so lucky and don't have these things, but we are very, very lucky. I'd like to thank everyone for joining me tonight. It's been a really good conversation, lots of chat going on, lots of interaction. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll be back next week, as I say, for the seed swap going on, trying to organise it. So that's all to look forward to. Until then, please take care, and we'll be back same veg time, same veg place. We just find the link.